Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity is introducing the Luminary to the Guardian class. Unlike the Dragon Hunter, which is about controlling terrain and using long range of their longbow or the Spear of Justice, the Luminary just wants to run in at their opponent. Unlike the Firebrand, which is more team supportive and can be a little bit less selfish, the Luminary is more of a self-centered, although it can support allies a little bit, more of a tank than a support. And unlike the Willbender, which is a glass cannon melee DPS kind of playstyle, the Luminary has a lot more survivability and play around utility. So in this video, we're going to be going over the Luminary's class mechanics so that you can learn how it works and decide how you want to play it, but I'll also provide some interesting build ideas so that you can also try those out if you want to just plug and play. So let's just get straight into the mechanics of the Luminary. The Luminary has the core Guardian's virtues, so these are not changing at all. You can have a little bit of an addition to them due to the Luminary traits, but for the most part these are the same as the core Guardian, and they're not very interesting, right? Because they have no animation, they just give like a single effect to their allies, and it's not great, it's not too strong. But the Luminary gets access to the Radiant Shroud, and entering into the Radiant Shroud gives you access to the hammer and the staff, the blade, and the shield. And when you use one of these skills, you will get an attack, and then you can use the second attack afterwards, which usually synergizes with that first attack. So when we leave Radiant Shroud, the cooldown of entering back into Radiant Shroud will get longer the more skills we use. Since we only use the hammer there, it was a 5-second cooldown, and so you can decide whether you want to do certain skills or not and change up your rotation. But for the most part, the Luminary is going to play very similarly all the time. It's very rotation based class, and so there's not too much flexibility in how you can play it. But let's go over the skills here. So the hammer skill will give you might and fury, and it will daze, and then afterwards you can do a attack that will do more damage to controlled foes, so that's a good synergy with itself there. And the one skill, when you use the hammer, will do more damage. So there's just the one skill just does this AoE attack, and it'll do more damage when you have recently used the hammer. And the 3 skill is a symbol that will give protection and resolution to allies and vulnerability to enemies, and it will add the Luminary Blessing, which will reduce incoming strike damage and will heal you when that 6 seconds ends. So a lot of damage reduction on this build. And if you use the 3 skill again, you will reduce damage on your allies, and you will also give them some condition cleansing. So yeah, there's a cooldown here, we have to wait for that. So we'll use the symbol here, and then you can see here, you'll heal and condition cleanse, and you'll reduce damage on your allies, and that damage will instead be converted to you, right? So you can kind of tank for your allies in a way, which is very interesting mechanic. So when you use the staff skill here, your 1 skill will give regeneration to allies. The 4 skill is the blade, which will also give you Luminary's Blessing. It will cripple and give vulnerability to the target, and it's a leap. And then the second skill is an immobilize, where you will stab the target. But the first one is important to look at because this is a combo finisher leap, and it's a little bit of mobility, so you can use that in your light fields, and you can get light aura, which will be important for later. And the 5th ability is the shield, which will block incoming attacks for 2 seconds and give Aegis to nearby allies. And the flip over will give a daze for 2 seconds, so a decent CC. But the thing about the Radiant Shroud is that all of the skills don't really synergize too well with each other. Obviously, there's a block into a CC, there's a leap into an immobilize, there's a symbol into a healing or damage reduction effect, and then there's a CC into a do more damage with CC. But you don't want to really heal allies and then CC enemies necessarily in all situations. So a lot of the times you're only going to use maybe 1 or 2 skills, and that's about it. And then you'll leave Shroud so that you can come back in later at a more increased pace, right? With not as much of a cooldown on your Shroud skills. Or you can just use all the skills. Say if you're in a really rough situation, you really need to block an attack, you need to heal a little bit more, and say you want to get enemies off of you so you're CCing them, and maybe use the leap to get away, then you'll use all of those, and your Shroud will go on a 20-second cooldown. So you can invest a lot into now, and have a longer cooldown later. Now, the traits are going to be important for the synergy with the Radiant Shroud, so we need to go over that first to really understand the Radiant Shroud. So first of all, we get access to stance skills, and whenever we have protection and resolution, we're going to heal for each one we have with the steadfast recovery trait. This one's pretty decent because it's pretty easy to get those two boons on a Guardian nowadays. And then you got Shining Restoration, so gain Light Aura when you use a healing skill. Light Aura is going to be a thematic moving forwards, so this trait could be good, but it's on heal skill, so it's not going to be that frequent that you're going to get it. And then Persistent Blessing refreshes the duration of the Luminary's Blessing and triggers its healing when you exit Shroud. So essentially, when you use one of your abilities here, you're going to get the Luminary Blessing, and then when you have this trait, it's going to trigger the Luminary Blessing, and then it's going to give you it again when you leave Shroud. So you can just get more damage reduction and more self-sustain. But I believe if you have access to the protection and resolution, this will give you more healing over time. But if you don't, then this will probably be better for you, because it'll be just more damage reduction and a little bit more healing. So those are pretty basic traits. The minor trait here, though, gives you vitality. So Guardians in general have really low vitality, and that makes them kind of squishy. They need to go for vitality in their armor, which can be a bit of a trade-off, although they get access to crit chance very easily, so it's not as much of a trade-off. But gaining that extra vitality is really nice in PvP, because you can go for the Zerker Amulet. But it also gives you access to the Luminary's Blessing when you equip a Radiant weapon, and it gives it to allies. So you're giving that benefit to allies whenever you use your Radiant weapons, and you're essentially making your allies take less damage and playing the role of a tank. So that's pretty nice. And your Luminary Blessing heals for 800-ish. So it's not amazing healing, but it adds up over time. You're not a dedicated healer, you're like a tank with some supplementary healing. Now, the next trait is Resplendent Virtues. You give Alacrity to nearby allies when you use a Virtue skill. So there's an Alacrity DPS spec, there's an Alacrity heal spec on Luminary because of this trait, and I think this is also really good for any DPS spec that is more self-sufficient, because lowering your cooldowns is pretty important, because this entire Guardian class revolves around cooldowns, so Alacrity is really powerful on Guardians. Then we've got Purging Light. Remove conditions from nearby allies when you grant yourself Light Aura. Pretty simple, but not too interesting, not too powerful. Then Empowered Armaments. Gain increased strike damage when you equip a Radiant weapon, and it's a 15% damage buff here with a 6-second duration. If I put this on, and then I use 2 of the weapons, then it'll be a 12-second total duration. So it can stack up to 20 seconds total, and that's just going to be nice for like a PvE DPS build. But I don't think it will be too amazing, because the Alacrity is really good. Unless you have Alacrity from your allies, then you'll probably want to go for this. Then Radiant Armaments is your next minor trait. So you gain a bonus based on the last Radiant weapon that you equipped. So if I just equip my hammer, now I do more damage to controlled and immobilized foes. If I just equip my staff, I get more healing increased to allies. If I use the sword, I get more movement speed. And if I use the shield, I get more damage reduction. So if I use the shield, for example, and I get the Luminary's Blessing, I've also got the Radiant Armaments, which reduces incoming strike damage. And I could have protection on top of that. And then I could also, there's a stance that gives you damage reduction. And when you leave the Shroud, it's going to linger. So if you want to do a DPS build, the ordering of the radiant weapons you use is important, because I get the hammer buff, which gives me increased damage to controlled foes. If I want to keep that damage, I can't go into staff before I leave, even though I want to get that symbol, because now I've got the healing to others and I don't get that extra damage. So the order is important to leave the Shroud with the last weapon that you kind of want to specialize in. Then for the Grandmaster trait, Illuminating Inspiration. Reduce the recharge of your virtue skills when you equip a radiant weapon. This is not the best because your virtue skills are kind of low impact anyways, and so you don't want to use them more and invest an entire Grandmaster trait into them. But there are some interesting things you could get with like the Virtues trait line, where you can make your F3 give stability to allies, and your F1 gives burning, and Light Aura if you have the Radiance trait line. But the thing is, the Light Aura synergy in this build comes from this trait, which is going to cleanse allies, and from this trait, and you can't have both these traits at the same time, so there's not really going to be too much synergy there. You probably just go for this trait, which is Sovereign of Light, which gives you Light Aura when you enter Radiant Shroud, and Luminary skills will detonate Light Aura, damaging enemies and healing allies. So you're going to use a Light Aura generating skill, and then you're going into the Shroud, and then you're going to, well, the thing is, so Light Aura is gained when you enter Shroud, so you don't want to enter Shroud when you already have Light Aura, because then that wastes the Light Aura that you just gained. So what you actually want to do is you want to use, so essentially what the category here is Luminary skills are basically any skill that you can only use as a Luminary. So basically stance skills or your Shroud skills. And I believe entering into Shroud does not count as a Luminary skill. You're going to gain healing and do a decent amount of damage by detonating these Light Auras. And so we want to rotate around the Light Auras, right? And the only way that you can get Light Aura, right, is using your F1, which is Light Aura, using the Greatsword 4 into Greatsword 3, right, because leap finisher in a combo field. And then this skill right here, Effulgent Stance, will give a Light Aura, and it will also detonate its own Light Aura because it is itself a Luminary skill. So you can see here, I just don't get Light Aura even though it says it gives it, because it instantly detonates it, which is pretty nice. So what we want to do with this Light Aura, and I believe this is a pretty cool trait to play around in solo game modes or PvP, I believe what you're going to want to do is go into a stance after this. So we'll probably use this stance, and then we'll do this stance, and we'll go into Luminary Shroud. This gives us Aura, so we're going to put down that, which will detonate the Aura, and that's a field as well. So we created a light field, and then we leap in it, which gives us another Aura. So we just did basically 2 Light Auras there by going into Shroud, right? So we go in, this gives us Light Aura, we detonate it with the 3 skill, we create a field, and then we leap in that field to get another one. And since the 4 skill counts as a Luminary skill, it will just detonate the aura that it gave itself, right? So that's kind of like the main combo that you want to use with this trait, is you enter into Shroud, use the 3, then use the 4, and then you can go from there into the 2 skill. And if you want to do a DPS build, that's going to be the last one that you use anyway. So the last trait is Master at Arms. So instead of this one being your virtue skills recharge when you use a radiant weapon, this one recharges your radiant weapons when you use virtues. So each virtue has a radiant weapon kind of like corresponding to it. So the courage is going to correspond to the sword and shield. So if I use the sword, or sorry, that's the staff. If I use the sword and the shield skill, then I can recharge it by using the F3. You're going to get the staff recharged with the F2, and you're going to recharge the hammer with the F1. And that can be nice, like if you want to do a big burst combo build. So this can be kind of interesting for a burst-oriented build, whereas this is more sustain and damage over time and healing over time. This one can give you access to the hammer burst twice. So what I can do is I can do I don't need to do the combo with the Light Aura anymore, right? Because I don't have Light Aura synergy. So I would just do the 4 to immobilize, hammer 2, and then F1 mid hammer 2. because it recharges the first one while the second one's available, and just use the hammer 2 twice. And that can be pretty powerful if you're going for like a burst oriented build. And now let's go over the stance skills. So the heal skill is going to heal yourself, and it will remove conditions off of yourself and allies. So 3 condition cleanse, and it will heal you for 5 seconds after every time you cleanse conditions. Now that buff isn't amazing because you're generally not going to need to cleanse that many conditions that you're going to get that much value, but just the initial effect of cleansing conditions off of yourself and allies, there's really no other skill that does that. So Luminary is pretty decent heal skill there. And then there's Piercing Stance, which will grant you 8 seconds of a buff that increases the strike damage you deal to crowd controlled or immobilized enemies. I believe in PvE that's just going to do the effect to any defiant enemies, so that's just going to be a flat 15% damage increase. And it will also do a daze at the start, which does a decent amount of damage. So it's going to be great for PvE builds that just want to do a lot of damage. But I believe you have, yeah, count recharge as well on that. So you always want to just use that before your big burst. So we're going to... and does that have an animation? I believe it does, yeah. So it has an animation, and so you can't use that in the middle of another skill. You need to use it, and then it will allow you to use your other skills, and then you do damage with that. So Piercing Stance, just great DPS thing. You're going to be using that in any PvE DPS build. And then we got Effulgent Stance here. So this will give you Barrier and Light Aura. And once again, Light Aura synergy is going to instantly trigger if we have the Sovereign of Light trait. So that can just be instant damage, right? So this will do damage immediately from the Effulgent of Light trait, but it will also do damage at the end depending on how many times you have hit an enemy. So we gain Barrier at the start, and then we want to just hit enemies, and as many times as we hit them, we're going to get more damage on the last effect there. It did 10,000 damage, and it will also daze for 2 seconds. So there's a lot of dazing effects on the Luminary. You know, you've got the Hammer 2 is a daze. You've got the, I believe the Hammer 5 is also a daze. Yeah, it's a daze. And then we've got the stances are dazing. So a lot of dazing. And the thing about daze is that in PvP modes, dazes can do damage and stuns cannot do damage. So we're like dazing and like kind of preventing them from attacking at the same time, which is kind of powerful. And then we've got the Valorous Stance, and this gives stability, but it does not have a stun break tied to it. So this is an interesting skill because it is balanced in that it is not stand your ground where you can just be stunned and then decide I don't want to be stunned anymore. You have to preemptively use it before you get stunned. And it also gives protection, and while you have the 4 seconds of the stance, it will heal you when you give boons to allies. So that's just great in World versus World where you got tons of people that you're giving allies boons, and you're going to give them stability as well. So I'm going to be completely meta this skill for World versus World, because in a lot of situations you need to give out stability to your allies in a rotation, and you aren't necessarily in need of a stun break when that's occurring. Now the last stance here before the elite is the Stalwart Stance. Now this is your stun break stance, and it will give Aegis to nearby allies, and you will take 33% less damage and condition damage for 5 seconds. So if you have, for example, the Luminary's Blessing on you, you have the shield armament, and you have protection, and you have Stalwart Stance, you're taking basically no damage here. Now, I don't think that these effects are additive. I believe they remove the additive reduction of damage, so you're not going to get 100% damage reduction. It's multiplicative, which means it can never reach 100%, but you're still getting a lot there. So I don't know if you do the math, I'm going to just guess it's around like 60% mitigation with all those up. So that's pretty good. Now the elite stance is Daring Advance. This is a leap skill. It will do a decent amount of damage on the initial leap, and then it will create an area in there, which is a light field, so we can use that to get light aura if we want to synergize with that. And it will tether the enemies that I initially use this on, and it will create a field that gives might and fury to allies. So the tether, you can see here, I should have a tether on the enemy there, but you can't really see it. But basically, if they move outside the tether, then they will be stunned for 2 seconds. So it's kind of like the Spellbreaker's tether there, but it doesn't give you too much of a benefit to have them tethered. The only benefit of the tether is that they kind of need to stay near you. So it's like the 1v1 me bro kind of skill. If they don't want to fight you, then they get stunned and they're kind of forced to fight you as a result. But other than that, it's not too amazing. It's just some extra damage, and as an elite skill for Guardian, it is kind of competing with the Renewed Focus. So it's maybe not going to be the best, but Renewed Focus is only giving you the core virtues, so that's kind of a nerf in a way to Renewed Focus. The virtues are not that powerful on Luminary, so you still might want to use the Daring Advance, or maybe Feel My Wrath. So that's pretty much the mechanic of the Luminary. They're pretty simple, and yeah. So here's my idea for a tanky Luminary build that can just run at the enemy, and pretty much that's it. So as opposed to other Guardian builds that rely on blocks and like pure damage and healing conversion, this one is just going to use the toughness from the Commander's stats, which combined with the Luminary's Blessing and all that other stuff and protection, we're just going to reduce the damage to the point where we can out heal the damage that we take rather than blocking specifically, because yeah, Guardians are actually kind of squishy if you don't rotate through their cooldowns properly, and so we want to just tank things. So we go for the toughness from Commander's stats on the armor, which is also going to give us concentration. We want that concentration because we do have quite a bit of boons on this build. And then I'm going to go for dragon stats as well, so we have quite a bit of crit damage on top of that. And then for the hammer, I take Force and Celerity, and Greatsword, Force and Rage. So basically, we're going to go for some quickness uptime with the Feel My Wrath as well. Relic of Mistburn, so every time we gain might, we're going to gain double might with the Righteous Instincts trait. And the traits that I take here are just all damage. We have the damage mitigation from protection, from the toughness, and from Luminary's Blessing, and even the Radiant Armaments if we really need. So we can afford to just go for full damage, and we just gain a lot of boons. And then this will give us some extra healing when we have Protection and Resolution, which we're going to have permanently. The Alacrity is going to allow us to use our cooldowns a lot more often. And then we're just going for Sovereign of Light, which is like the main idea of this build, because we get the Light Aura on the F1, and the F1 is going to recharge every time we kill an enemy. So let's just go into here, do path 3, because I want to fight a bunch of mobs. And we've also got some stances here, so the stances give some damage and some healing. This one gives stability. And what we want to do before we go into any of these fights is put on Feel My Wrath, save yourselves, and then just press all the virtues. And you can see I have like every boon in the game. And we use the use the stances, right? The Greatsword 4 and 3 is going to give us the Light Aura. And then we detonate the Light Aura, and you can see it does damage. And then we detonate more Light Auras. So yeah, it's a lot of damage with this. And then we can go into the Luminary, but they all died before I can do that. So we're just going to leave that real quick. And let's go over here. So yeah, we want to use our quickness at the start. It's going to also give us Fury. We can also get Protection and Resolution here. And then this can be used pretty early as well for the barrier. And let's just grab all of these enemies and see what we can do with this. So pull these in, get stability, use all my virtues. Now let's do the 3, 4, 4, 2 combo, the F1 as well. The F1 can be used with, if I keep killing these mobs like this and just spamming the one skill, it's just constantly detonating the light auras, right? Because this counts as a luminary skill. And now we can leave after using this. Let's get some healing off the greatsword stance, pull these guys in, hammer them, knock this guy over, and just keep using our stances and healing. Now, since we have alacrity, we can just keep using this stuff. Let's do the combo here to get a light aura. Knock that guy. And we'll use the shield 5 here just to get some damage reduction when we leave. So we'll be completely fine here. Get some quickness. And then just auto attack with the hammer, which is going to give us protection. And the hammer symbol is pretty good damage too. So yeah, we just kind of face tank all of that. And you can see our boons are still skyrocketing. Now this part is a little bit dangerous, but we'll be fine, I believe. Valor stance immediately. Oh, they're immune. Okay, well that ruined some of my stuff. Light aura. I'm going to use my heal skill to detonate this light aura. And then we have another light aura, but I can't detonate it with anything because I have to go into the luminary stance, and that's just going to give me an aura anyways. We're just going to do this. Do this. Let's block. And we'll daze. Leave. Hit these guys. Hammer them. And yeah, these guys are pretty dangerous. But as you can see, we just kind of tank their damage. I'm kind of running out of cooldowns though, but the alacrity is going to go pretty hard and give me those cooldowns back soon. And yeah, they're just going to die. So here's an idea for a Luminary PvP build. I go for the Valkyrie amulet because Zerker is going to be more reliable crit chance, but you're kind of slow on Luminary, so you can't afford to be that squishy. You need to be really tanky, and the vitality scales well with the damage reduction. I have Bavanisos Relic and 5 stances, so every time I use a stance, I cleanse 2 conditions. The movement speed we're getting is coming from the Traveler rune, and then the hammer, I have Opportunity and Intelligence. So with the boons, we have 66% crit chance. So Intelligence Sigil is nice because that can trigger on the swapping of your Radiant Shroud. Then Sword and Shield, Energy Cleansing. Now, we have crit chance from Righteous Instincts and from the Radiant Power when we burn enemies, so it's more like 76% crit chance, which isn't amazing, but we want the tankiness. And we have the F1 gives Immobilize to ensure our burst. We have Glacial Heart for some more healing when we chill, Immobilize, I believe, or disable foes when we have a lot of CC. Then we go for the healing, and the Fury and Might when we use a Virtue, and then we have Sovereign of Light for the light aura synergy. So the opening burst is going to be Sword 2, Effulgent Stance to get barrier and to do the light aura burst in their face, and then F1, which will immobilize them and blind them, and then we use Sword 3 to try to get the Effulgent Stance to trigger as fast as possible. And then from there, we can see where we go. But that's how we're going to start out. So let's go in on this Gale Shot. Mobilize goes out. We're going to shield 5 them into the Hammer 2 combo. 4k, pretty good. Gotta get this off of me. I'm just going to use all my stances. I'm going to go in with the Immobilize here. They dodge. I'm going to block. We've got multiple enemies on me. I'm staying in the shield when I leave for the damage reduction. So I have a lot of damage reduction here. Let's go for this guy on the node. Scrapper. Effulgent Stance, so we're hitting a lot of enemies on the team fights. We get a lot of value from Effulgent Stance. Let's give myself a stun break. Knock this guy back, possibly. Oh, we got him with the Hammer 2. Let's finish him off. I'll go for the Stability Stomp. Yeah, I'll waste my stability for this just to make this a cleaner fight. And we go up here. Let's just go down here for this. Is this a Luminary? Yeah, it's a Luminary. So we use Sword 2. He's kind of locked in my ring. Let's leap at him. He's leaping away as well. I can use my Elite, though, to get the tether on him. He came back with an ally. And I'm stunned now. Oh, I'm done for. Protection. I'm going to try to port. I'm just locked down here. Try to heal with the chill from whatever that's called, the glacial heart. Now I'm going to use this to heal myself. Leap at him. And we somehow survived that. A Fulgen stance to kind of finish this guy off. Hammer 2 to get some healing. And yeah, we somehow didn't die there. I don't know. I was pretty much out of everything, but we just kind of passively survived. Okay, this guy's on me. I'm gonna swap to my Luminary Shroud, Luminary Shroud soon. Knock him down. Let's do the combo. Okay, he's on me now. Let's go back in, actually. Got the Immobilize. Okay, he evaded. He's a Troubadour. Mesmers. Still have a lot of the Mesmer stuff. I'm gonna actually, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna port, and then I'm gonna use the Elite. Oh, he's up there, so we can't do anything. Yeah, he's gonna stay up there. Let's go over here, maybe. Oh, he's dead. This guy's on the node. I'm gonna wait for that, and then we're gonna use our Elite. Hammer 2, a Fulgen stance, knock him off the node. And Hammer 2 over here. Spam everything. Hammer, let's do that. I can use the 1 skill because it's extra damage, but I think I'm going to use the shield 5 to block here. And then I'm going to leave with that because I want the extra damage reduction because I think he's going to blast me very soon. Yeah, he did it. And we survive his burst with the sword 5 because we have the extra damage reduction. He's got a scepter, so he's going to pressure me. And I can't really sustain by just there. So I'm going to go over here instead. Use the 3 and 3 again to heal up. I'll use the 2. I'm going to use the 4 so I get the movement speed armament so I can get some rotation faster. Go in here. CC this guy. Oh, he CC'd me first. Fulgen stance and stability. He's immobilized, but he actually died to the Fulgen stance triggering at the end. We got a couple hits on it. It wasn't max, but it was still enough to do damage to him. So yeah, the Fulgen stance, once again, it gives you damage the more you stack up the hits. So I hit, what, like, maybe 5 times there instead of 10. 10 is the max stacks. I got CC'd there. Let's use our Elite here. Oh, they moved away. Let's block. And I'm going to leave so I can get the damage reduction. Just get that damage reduction. Maybe knock this guy off. And then he's invulnerable. Immobilize him. Hammer, if I can't. Oh, it's not off cooldown. Okay, let's do the combo here. So I did damage there with the, what's it called? The light aura, and it did pretty good damage just from leaping at him with the light aura because it triggers the explosion effect. Knock this guy. Hammer 5. Does he have stability? No. He's blocking. Okay, let's get the Hammer 2. Keep spamming 1. I feel like he's just going to keep spamming his cooldown, so I don't want to waste my burst combo into his cooldowns. But now we're going to go in for the damage burst. Fulgen into the F1, immobilize. And the Fulgen should hit soon. Okay, it didn't. I'm getting focused a little bit here, so I'm going to move this. I don't think I give the tether. I don't give the tether if it doesn't hit the initial hit. Leave with the shield armament. I'm going to chase this Mesmer instead. F1. Fulgen stance. I'm going to use my Hammer 2. Get some stability for my allies. Okay, we want to get on that Gale shot. But they're moving around. Let's knock this guy back. F1. I don't think I have the passive up to immobilize yet. Okay, let's go in for this immobilize. Use the 3 to cleanse myself because I'm immobilized here. And I will use this to CC them. I'm going to block, and I'm going to leave with the damage reduction because I'm being focused. So I have a lot of damage reduction right now. I'm going to also use this for more. Knock him back. Okay, he dodged, so now I can... He double dodged, so now I can use some damage here. Just use all my stances and all my stuff because I'm running out of health here. Really low, but I can get out of danger here by leaping out of the danger. I'm going to use the 3 skill to cleanse myself and heal. And I'm just going to leave. I don't need to do anything else here. I'm going to cleanse my ally very soon. Go for this Gale Shot. Give protection to my ally. And once their stability ends, I'm going to go for a combo. So it ended. Now we knock them back. F1. Immobilize into... Okay, they leap. Hammer 2. Okay. They're really low. I'm going to get the combo here with the Light Aura. Immobilize them. CC them. Hammer 2 again. Not critting a lot, but we're still getting some pressure on them. Shield 4 for some damage. Maybe I go back to the node. Effulgent stance. Okay, he's running, so it was a bad Effulgent. We can knock him into the... Okay, it triggered anyways. So now we can finish this guy off. Give myself stability. I leapt way too far. I should have leapt not as far there. But yeah, we have a lot of down cleave with the hammer. Now let's port over this wall to help this guy with his 1v1. Effulgent stance is up soon. Auto attack, auto attack. Auto attack, auto attack. Okay, knock him back. Oh, it missed because I got blinded by his F1. Let's do the hammer 2 while he's stuck in the ring. I got rupted. I'm going to block. It looks like I'm going to be attacked here. I'm going to just leave it so I get the armament of the damage reduction. Hit this guy with the chill. Blind it with Fulgent stance. And yeah, that did what, 3k just from the Light Aura? Okay, he's moving around a lot. Yeah, we really need the sword. I don't think you can run a non-sword build on Guardian, otherwise you're just too slow. Let's chase him with the movement speed armament. Knock him back. Sword 2, hammer 2. And yeah, it's kind of just like a bruiser spec that works well with the hammer. I mean, Willbender kind of works with hammer, but not that great. I think hammer got a little bit nerfed and then it immediately stopped being good on Willbender because just Willbender didn't have that much synergy. It was just Willbender was OP and then hammer was OP. But now that both are a little bit in check, I think this one actually has some good synergy. Let's get some stability here and damage reduction. Hammer 2, hammer 4. Okay, they're blocking. We hit something though. Shield 4 for my allies. Let's actually use the 3 skill here and protect my allies while blocking. A lot of team fight synergy with this build because we can cleanse our allies, we can give stability to our allies. So we're very tanky, but also a little bit of support, not like just healing, but just through, you know, utility, I would say. It has that real paladin kind of feel to it. Nice little combo there with the shield 5 and the hammer 2. Yeah, so Luminaries, I think it's one of the more powerful specs right now as well. It's not maybe the most, I would say, interesting, but it's Guardian, right? And Guardian's just fun being what it is. We're going to just spam all of our stances because that's something that you can do. But yeah, very... I wouldn't say it's simplistic because the armaments have a lot of decision making to it, but it is definitely kind of face rolly, right? Oh, and I didn't use an armament there. Let's get the elite skill here, stability because I got CC'd. Knock him away and that stuns him, right? And then the stun allows me to land. Oh, that's actually pretty cool synergy with the hammer 4 and the elite, huh? Am I getting... No. I'm going to block this because he's using his hammer stuff. Daze him, and then we'll do the burst combo with the light auras. Immobilize. Got the daze on him. Let's remove this. Okay, let's heal. Fulgent stance coming out soon. Knock it back. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna give myself stability. He's kind of out of... Yeah, he's out of the cooldowns here. He dodged my hammer 2. He's running a similar build, but I think he's sword, and I don't know what else. But yeah, we're just kind of like two bruisers hitting each other. We need to kind of play with our team to get kills here. So let's knock this guy off. And hammer 2. I don't have stability, but... Oh, I could have F1. Well, I didn't have F1 off cooldown to blind it, though, as well. But yeah, this is... Yeah, I think it's kind of fun. the Luminary. Let's get the F1 to immobilize here. Gonna get stunned again. I don't have the stun break off cooldown yet. But yeah, I think this is pretty much how you play the Luminary. We can just stand here and win this game, or go to the bell. Yeah, so if you guys like this content, obviously subscribe, like the video, become a channel member if you want to support me for as little as $1 a month. And yeah, we'll probably do more of these intro videos before the beta ends, but maybe not all of them, because the beta is only a week long and I can only do one per day at most. So that being said, I will see you guys next time.